Tay stood in the massive hallway of Kepler 7 station, staring at the creature in front of him. It looked like nothing he had ever seen on Earth. The Vithara had 6 legs, each one moving in a strange rhythm that seemed almost like a dance. Its body was covered in smooth scales that changed color from blue to purple when the light hit them. But the most unusual thing about it was its eyes. They were large and crystalline like perfect diamonds, and they seemed to glow with a soft white light. "That is what checks for cheaters during exams," Hai said beside him. She was a Delrani, one of the bird-like species that made up a large portion of the Galactic Consortium Academy. Her feathers were a soft gray color, and she had a way of tilting her head that reminded Tay of the sparrows back home. "It reads minds?" Tay asked. He had heard about this during orientation, but seeing the creature in person made it feel more real. "Surface thoughts only," Hai explained. "It can tell what you are thinking about right now. During exams, if you are thinking about hidden notes or trying to use telepathy to cheat, it knows. It will stop next to you and make a sound. Then everyone knows you cheated." Tay watched as the Vithara walked past them down the hallway. It moved smoothly, its legs making soft clicking sounds on the metal floor. A few students moved aside to let it pass, but no one seemed afraid. This was normal for them. "Does it hurt?" Tay asked. "When it reads your mind?" Hay shook her head. "No, not at all. You barely feel it, like someone looking over your shoulder. Most students do not even notice unless they are doing something wrong." Tay nodded, but he felt uncomfortable. The idea of something reading his thoughts, even surface ones, made him nervous. On Earth, privacy was important. People did not go into each other's minds. "The midterm exams are next week," Hay continued as they walked toward the cafeteria. "The Vithara will be there. But do not worry. If you study and do not cheat, you will be fine. It has been doing this for 40 years. Everyone trusts it." The cafeteria was crowded with students from dozens of different species. Tay had been at the academy for 3 months now, and he still found it amazing. There were the Kasathi with their reptilian features and scaled skin. There were the Orlans who needed to keep their skin wet and wore special suits filled with water. There were species he could not even pronounce the names of yet. He was the only human. Earth had just joined the Galactic Consortium 5 years ago, and he was the first human student they had sent to this academy. It was an honor, but it was also lonely sometimes. Over the next few days, Tay studied hard for his exams. The material was not easy. He had to learn about different alien cultures, their languages, their customs, and how to negotiate between species that thought in completely different ways. But he enjoyed it. This was why he had come here. The day before his first exam, something strange happened. Tay was in his dormitory room, reviewing his notes on Kasathi trade protocols when he heard a commotion in the hallway. He opened his door and saw several academy officials standing there with the Vithara. Instructor Vexnar, a tall Kasathi with dark green scales, was holding a datapad. "Routine inspection," Vexnar said in his deep voice. "The Vithara checks all dormitories before examination periods. Standard procedure. Please step aside." Tay stepped out of his doorway. He watched as the Vithara moved down the hall, going in and out of rooms. It spent maybe 30 seconds in each room, then came back out and moved to the next one. Then it came to Tay's room. The creature approached the open doorway. Its crystalline eyes seemed to focus on the interior of the room. It took one step forward, then stopped. Its eyes flickered, and it made a sound Tay had not heard before, a kind of distressed clicking. The Vithara backed away from the door. "What is wrong?" Vexnar asked, looking at the creature with concern. The handler, a short alien with 4 arms, tried to guide the Vithara forward. "Come on, just a quick inspection." But the Vithara would not move. It backed up more, all 6 legs moving in reverse. The clicking sound got louder. It moved all the way to the opposite wall of the hallway and pressed itself against it. Vexnar's eyes narrowed. He looked at Tay. "What do you have in your room?" "Nothing unusual," Tay said, feeling confused and worried. "Just my clothes, my datapad, some books from Earth, my study materials." "The Vithara has never done this before," Vexnar said slowly. "In 40 years of service, it has never refused to enter a room." Other students had come out of their rooms now, watching what was happening. Tay could hear them whispering, "What is the human hiding? Maybe humans have some kind of weapon? I heard Earth is a dangerous planet." Vexnar made a decision. "We will search your room. If you have nothing to hide, you will not mind." "Of course," Tay said quickly. Search whatever you need to. For the next hour, Academy security went through every item in Ty's room. They scanned his datapad, checked his clothes, examined his books, and even tested the walls and floor for hidden compartments or devices. They found nothing. Meanwhile, the Vithara stayed pressed against the far wall of the hallway, refusing to come anywhere near Tay's room. When the search was finished, Vexnar looked frustrated. There is nothing here. But the Vithara does not make mistakes. Maybe it is sick, Tay suggested. Perhaps, Vexnar said, but he did not sound convinced. We will take it to the medical facility. But student Tay, until we understand what happened here, you are under observation. You will still take your exam tomorrow, but there will be extra monitoring. After they left, Hay came to Tay's door. Her feathers were ruffled, a sign she was upset. I do not understand what happened. You are the most honest person I know. You ask questions about everything instead of pretending you understand. I do not understand either, Tay said. He felt shaken. I was just studying. I do not have anything that should scare it. That night, Tay could not sleep well. He kept thinking about the way the Vithara had backed away from his room, the distressed sounds it had made. What had it seen in there, or what had it seen in him? He did not know it yet, but this was just the beginning. The mystery of why the Vithara refused to come near him was about to turn his life at the Academy upside down, and it would reveal something about humans that no one in the galaxy had expected. Something that would change how every species in the consortium thought about Earth and its strange, chaotic people. The exam room was cold. Tay sat at a desk in the corner, separated from the other students by a clear barrier. Instructor Vexnar had insisted on this. While other students took their exam with the Vithara walking peacefully between the rows, Ty was isolated, with 2 Academy security officers watching him through cameras. He tried to focus on the questions in front of him, but it was hard. Through the transparent barrier, he could see the Vithara moving among the other students. They barely looked up. This was normal for them, but whenever the creature's path brought it close to Tay's barrier, it would change direction, moving away like water flowing around a rock. After the exam, the whispers got worse. Did you see how it avoided him? Humans must have something that scares it. Maybe they are all cheaters and it knows. Tay walked through the cafeteria and noticed students moving away from him. Some stared. Others looked away quickly when he met their eyes. Even some of his classmates seemed uncertain now. Only Hay still sat with him at lunch. This is foolish, she said, her feathers ruffling with anger. Everyone is acting like you did something wrong. But you did not cheat. Your exam was monitored more closely than anyone else's, and you did fine. I know, Tay said quietly, but I do not blame them for being confused. I am confused too. That afternoon, Tay was called to a meeting room. Vexnar was there, along with 3 other instructors and the Vithara's handlers. The creature itself was not present. We need to run more tests, Vexnar said. His voice was not unkind, but it was firm. We need to understand if this is something specific to you, or if it is something about humans in general. What kind of tests? Tay asked. We want to see if the Vithara will approach you in different locations. One of the handlers explained. She was a luminar, her body glowing softly with blue light. Maybe there was something specific about your dormitory room. Maybe it will be fine in other places. Over the next 3 days, they tried everything. They brought Tay to the library. The Vithara was led in from the opposite end. It saw Tay and stopped. It would not come closer than 10 meters. They tried the cafeteria during a quiet time. Same result. The creature approached until it was about 10 meters away, then refused to move forward. They tried an empty classroom. They tried the garden area where many species went to relax. They tried the observation deck with its view of the stars. Every time the same thing happened. The Vithara would not come near Tay. The final test was the most difficult. The handlers decided to try forcing the issue, using gentle guidance to encourage the Vithara forward. Tay stood very still in the center of an empty room while they slowly walked the creature toward him. At 10 meters, the Vithara started making the clicking sound again. At 8 meters, it tried to turn around. At 6 meters, it began pulling against its handlers, all 6 legs pushing backward. At 5 meters, it made a sound Tay had never heard before. It was almost like crying. The creature's crystalline eyes were flickering rapidly and its whole body was shaking. Stop, Tay said. Please stop. You are hurting it. The handlers immediately backed away and the Vithara ran to the far corner, pressing itself against the wall. Tay felt terrible. He had not wanted to cause the creature pain. After that, the Academy officials had to accept the facts. Whatever was happening, it was real. The Vithara was terrified of Tay, or of something about Tay. The gossip got even worse. Tay heard students talking about him in the hallways. Some thought he had some kind of mental illness. Others thought he was hiding criminal thoughts. A few even suggested that humans might be a dangerous species that should not have been allowed into the consortium. In his classes, teachers treated him with caution. They were polite but distant. No one wanted to get too close to the student who scared the Vithara. One evening, Hai found Tai sitting alone in the observation deck, looking out at the stars. Earth was somewhere out there, too far away to see. I talked to some of my friends, Hai said, sitting beside him. I asked them what it feels like when the Vithara reads their thoughts. What did they say? Tai asked. My people, the Delrani, we feel it like a gentle brush against our minds, like wind through feathers. We sense that it is looking at what we are focused on, but it does not go deeper. It is not invasive. And other species? I talked to Bin, the Kasathi student. He said for his people, it feels like someone reading the title of a book they are holding. They know what subject they are thinking about, but not the details. He said it tickles a little. Hay continued. I talked to Ray, the Orland student. She said it feels like ripples in water, a small disturbance on the surface, nothing more. She said most Orlands find it peaceful. So for everyone it is gentle, Tay said. Not frightening. Yes, Hay confirmed. That is why everyone is so confused about what happened with you. The Vithara is not a scary creature. It has been working at this academy for 40 years, helping thousands of students. It has never hurt anyone. It has never been hurt by anyone. Until now. I did not mean to hurt it, Tay said quietly. I know, Hay said. She patted his shoulder with her wing. Everyone who knows you knows that. But the problem is, not everyone knows you. The next day brought news that made everything more complicated. Academy officials had contacted specialists from across the consortium. Someone was coming to study the situation. A xenopsychologist named Kira, one of the Luminar people who specialized in how different species' minds worked. She has studied thousands of species, Vexnar told Tay in another meeting. She has worked with empathic creatures like the Vithara before. If anyone can understand what is happening, it is her. When will she arrive? Tay asked. 3 days, Vexnar said. Until then, you will continue your classes, but all your exams are postponed. We cannot fairly test you without the Vithara, but we also cannot let you take exams without the same monitoring as other students. Tay nodded. It was fair, even if it meant falling behind in his studies. As he left the meeting, he passed a group of students in the hallway. They stopped talking when they saw him, watching him walk by in silence. Tay kept his head up, but inside he felt small. He had come to the academy to learn, to represent his species, to build bridges between Earth and the galaxy. Instead, he had become a mystery, a problem to be solved. What scared him most was the possibility that they might never solve it. What if no one could figure out why the Vithara refused to come near him? Would he be sent home in disgrace? Would Earth's reputation in the consortium be damaged? That night, lying in his bed, Tay thought about his family back on Earth. His mother had been so proud when he was accepted to the academy. His father had helped him pack, making jokes about bringing kimchi to space. He wondered what they would think if they knew what was happening now. Would they be disappointed? Would they understand? Outside his window, the stars continued their eternal dance, uncaring about the troubles of one small human far from home. Kira arrived on a shuttle from the inner systems 3 days later. Tay had never seen a Luminar in person before. She looked like a jellyfish made of light, her body floating a meter off the ground with no visible means of support. Tendrils of soft blue and purple light drifted below her, moving in patterns that seemed almost like gestures. She communicated through a device that translated her light pulses into sound. You must be Tay, her translated voice said. It was gentle, almost musical. I have traveled far to meet the human who frightens a Vithara. Quite an achievement. In my 300 years, I have never heard of such a thing. I did not mean to frighten it, Tay said. Of course not, Kira said, her colors shifting to warm gold. Fear is rarely intentional, but it is always informative. The Vithara is afraid, which tells us something important is happening. We simply need to discover what. Kira spent the first day examining the Vithera itself. She checked its health, its emotional state, its empathic abilities. She concluded that the creature was perfectly fine. There was nothing wrong with it physically or mentally. The problem is not the Vithera, she told the Academy officials. The problem is the interaction between the Vithera and the human. Something about Ty's mind is causing the creature distress. But his mind is normal, Vexnar said. Our medical scans show nothing unusual. He is a healthy human. Healthy for a human, yes, Kira said. But humans are new to the consortium. We do not fully understand how your minds work. That is what we need to discover. On the second day, Kira set up an experiment. She created a special room with adjustable barriers that could block or allow different types of mental energy. She had equipment that could monitor what the Vithera was experiencing, translating its empathic sense into data that other species could understand. I want you to sit in the center of the room, Kira told Tay. Just sit and think normally. Do not try to hide anything or think of anything special. Just be yourself. Tay sat in the chair. The room was quiet except for the hum of equipment. Through a window he could see Kira, Vexnar, and several other researchers watching. The Vithara was brought to the door of the room. It was 20 meters away from Tay, with the barriers at full strength. I am lowering Barrier 1, Kira announced. The Vithera shifted slightly but remained calm. Barrier 2. The creature's eyes flickered but it stayed in place. Barrier 3. The clicking sound started. Soft at first but growing louder. Interesting, Kira said. I am reading what it is sensing, recording data. Barrier 4. The Vithara backed away from the door. Stop, Kira said, raising barriers again. The experiment was repeated several times with Kira adjusting different types of barriers, trying to isolate exactly what was causing the problem. After 2 hours, she called a break. Tay joined the researchers in the observation room. Kira was studying the data on multiple screens, her light tendrils moving rapidly as she worked. This is extraordinary, she said. I have never seen readings like this. What is it? Vexnar asked. Kira turned to face them, her colors shifting through the spectrum as she processed her thoughts. To explain, I must first tell you how most sapient minds work. Most species in the consortium have what we call layered consciousness. Your thoughts are organized. When you focus on something, that thought is in the front. Other thoughts are filed away in the back, waiting their turn. She displayed an image on the screen. It showed a neat structure, like drawers in a filing cabinet. This is a Kasathi mind, one thought at a time, clear and organized. This is a Delrani mind, similar structure, but with more emotional connections. This is an Orlan mind, like water, flowing but contained in one stream. Then she showed another image. It looked like chaos. Lines going everywhere, connecting to everything with no clear structure at all. This is what I recorded from Ty's mind. Everyone stared at the image. I do not understand, Vexnar said. Is his mind damaged? No, Kira said. This is normal for a human. I have been checking the data Earth provided when they joined the consortium. This is how all human minds work. She zoomed in on the chaotic image. Right now, in this moment, Tay is thinking about many things at once. He is listening to our conversation, but he is also thinking about the experiment, and he is thinking about what he will eat for dinner. And there is a song playing in his head, and he is worried about his family on Earth, and he is calculating something mathematical, and he is remembering something from his childhood. All of this, all at the same time. Tay blinked. Is that not normal? For you, yes, Kira said gently. For most of the galaxy, no. Most species think one thing at a time. When a Kasathi is listening to a conversation, they are only listening. Their mind is not doing 5 other things simultaneously. Hay, who had been allowed to observe, spoke up. But humans can focus, right? I have seen Tay study. He concentrates on his work. Yes, Kira said. But even when a human focuses, their mind is still running multiple processes. They just push one process to the front. The others continue in the background. It is like having many programs running on a computer at once, while most species run one program at a time. She turned to Tay. Have you ever had a problem where you could not stop thinking about something? Where thoughts just kept coming and you could not shut them off? All the time, Tay admitted. I thought everyone had that. No, Kira said. Most species do not. If a Kasathi wants to stop thinking about something, they simply stop. They file that thought away and think about something else. Humans cannot do that. Your thoughts are always active, always connecting, always running. Vexnar was shaking his head slowly. And this is why the Vithara will not approach him? Because there are too many thoughts? Exactly, Kira said. The Vithara is an empathic creature. It reads surface thoughts. For most species, surface thoughts are simple. One or two things at most. But when the Vithara tries to read a human, it encounters dozens of active thoughts. Conscious thoughts, subconscious thoughts, memories, plans, dreams, worries, songs, calculations, all happening at once. She changed the image on the screen to show a comparison. Imagine you are trying to drink from a cup. That is what the Vithara experiences with other species. A gentle sip of surface thought. But with a human, it is like trying to drink from a waterfall. Too much, too fast, too overwhelming. The room was silent as everyone processed this information. So I am not hiding anything, Tay said quietly. The Vithara is not afraid because I have bad thoughts. It is afraid because I have too many thoughts. Yes, Kira confirmed. Your mind is not evil or dangerous. It is just intense. For a creature that reads thoughts, a human mind is like staring into the sun, too bright to look at directly. He made a sound that might have been a laugh. So humans think too much? In a way, Kira said, though I would not phrase it that way. You think differently. Your minds are built for parallel processing. You can consider many things at once, connect ideas in unusual ways, and hold contradictory thoughts simultaneously. For most species, contradictory thoughts cannot exist together. If we think A is true, we cannot also think B is true if B contradicts A. But humans can think both, and consider both, and not be bothered by the contradiction. That does sound exhausting, Vexnar said. It is, Tay admitted. Sometimes my mind feels very tired. Kira's colors shifted to a warm orange. I imagine it does. The question now is, what do we do about this? The Vithara cannot monitor you during exams, but the Academy cannot make an exception for humans without some alternative. I will do whatever is needed, Tay said. Extra monitoring, isolated testing, anything that is fair. We will find a solution, Kira promised. But first I must write a report about this discovery. The consortium needs to understand human cognition better. This explains many things about your species. Like what? Hay asked. Like why humans have such creative solutions to problems? Kira said. Why your art is so complex. Why you adapt quickly to new situations. Your chaotic minds are actually a gift, even if they frighten empathic creatures. As Tay left the observation room, he felt strange. He had spent his whole life thinking his thoughts were normal. He had never realized that other species thought differently. The galaxy was quieter inside other people's heads. More peaceful, more organized. He was not sure if that sounded wonderful or boring. The meeting room was full. Every senior instructor at the academy was present, along with representatives from the Consortium Council. Kira had sent her report, and now they needed to decide what to do about the human problem. Tay was not allowed in the meeting, but Hay told him what she heard from Instructor Vexnar afterward. Some of them want to stop accepting human students, Hay said. Her feathers were ruffled again, the way they got when she was angry. They say if the Vithara cannot monitor humans, then humans have an unfair advantage. They could cheat and no one would know. That is ridiculous, Tay said. I have never cheated. I do not want to cheat, I know, Hay said. But they are scared. Not of you, but of the situation. The Vithara has been used for 40 years. It is how they trust the exam process. Without it, they do not know what to do. The debate went on for 3 days. Some instructors argued that humans should take exams in complete isolation, with multiple cameras and even more security than Tay had experienced. Others said this was discrimination and humans should be treated the same as everyone else. A few instructors had a different view. They suggested that maybe the Vithara was not necessary at all. Maybe the academy relied too much on mind reading, and not enough on character. But that is how we have always done it, one instructor protested. Always is not forever, another replied. While the debate continued, something else happened. Earth sent a second exchange student. Her name was Sol. She arrived on a transport ship with supplies and news from home. She was shorter than Tay, with bright eyes and a smile that never seemed to leave her face. When she met Tay in the arrival bay, she hugged him immediately. "Finally, another human," she said. "I have been so excited to meet you. They told me you were the only one here. That must have been lonely." "It has been interesting," Tay said carefully. "I heard about the thing with the mind-reading creature," Sul said as they walked toward the dormitory. "They briefed me before I came. They said it would not work on me either. Something about our brains being too noisy. Too chaotic," Tay corrected. "We think about too many things at once." "Oh, that makes sense," Sul said. "I am always thinking about 5 things at the same time. I thought everyone was like that." "So we are weird?" "Different," Tay said. "We are different." The academy officials wanted to test Sol immediately, to confirm that the effect was not specific to Tay. She agreed cheerfully, seeming unconcerned by the whole situation. They set up the same experiment Kira had used. Sol sat in the center of the room, looking around with interest while the Vithara was brought closer and closer. The results were identical. At 10 meters, the creature stopped. At 8 meters, it started making distressed sounds. At 6 meters, it tried to run away. "Yep, definitely not a Tay-specific thing," Sul said when they told her the results. "So what now?" Kira, who had stayed to observe Sol's test, displayed the data. "The pattern is the same. Multiple thought streams, constant mental activity, no clear layered structure. This confirms that this is a characteristic of human cognition, not an individual variation." That evening, some of the alien students gathered with Tay, Sol, and Hai in the common area. Word had spread about the test results, and everyone was curious about how human minds worked. "So you are thinking about many things right now?" asked Ben, a Kasathi student with dark blue scales. "Always," Sol confirmed. "Right now I am listening to you, but I am also thinking about unpacking my bags, and wondering what the food here tastes like, and I have a song stuck in my head, and I am planning what classes I want to take." The alien students looked at each other, clearly finding this hard to believe. "But how do you focus?" asked Ray, the Orlan student in her water-filled suit. "We just push one thought to the front," Tay explained. "The others are still there, but quieter. Like turning down the volume on them. Can you stop thinking?" Ben asked. "Can you make your mind quiet?" "Not really," Sol said. "I mean, we can meditate or try to calm our thoughts, but they never fully stop. Even when I am sleeping, I am dreaming. My brain is always active." "That sounds exhausting," Ray said. "Sometimes it is," Tay admitted. "That is why humans drink coffee." "Coffee?" several students asked at once. "A stimulant from Earth," Sul explained. "It helps us focus by making our brains work even faster. Then we can think about everything at once but somehow do it better." The alien students looked horrified. "You use stimulants to make your already chaotic minds work faster?" Ben asked. "When you say it like that, it sounds bad," Sul said, laughing. "But yes, basically." Hai was shaking her head, her feathers trembling with what might have been amusement. "How do you get anything done? If you are always thinking about everything, how do you complete tasks?" "I do not know," Tay said honestly. "We just do, maybe because we are thinking about everything. We notice things other species miss. We make connections between different ideas because those ideas are already in our minds at the same time." Over the next few days, the alien students asked more questions. They wanted to know how humans managed their chaotic thoughts, how they made decisions, how they knew what to focus on. Sol and Tay tried to explain. They talked about how humans learn to organize their thoughts through practice, how they used tools like lists and notes to keep track of everything they were thinking about. They explained that sometimes the chaos was useful, letting them be creative and solve problems in unexpected ways. "Do you ever think about nothing?" Ray asked. "No," both humans said at the same time. But you said you cannot think contradictory things, Sewell added, looking at the alien students. That sounds limiting. What if both things are partly true? Then one must be true and the other false, Bin said. That is logic. But reality is not always logical, Sewell argued. Sometimes things are complicated. Sometimes A and B are both true even if they contradict each other. The alien students struggled with this concept. For them, thinking was simpler, clear, organized. The idea of holding two contradictory thoughts without discomfort seemed impossible. Meanwhile, the Academy officials were still debating what to do. Reports came back from the consortium. Some planets wanted to ban humans from educational institutions. Others were fascinated and wanted to study human cognition more. Earth sent messages saying they supported whatever decision the Academy made, but they hoped humans would still be welcome. One night, Tay and Sol were in the observation deck, looking at the stars. This had become Tay's quiet place, though quiet was a relative term for a human. Do you think they will send us home? Sol asked. I do not know, Tay said. Part of me would not mind. This has been stressful, but part of me wants to stay and prove that humans can succeed here. Same, Sol said. I just got here and I already love it. So many different species, so many different ways of thinking, even if they think we are weird. We are weird, Tay said. That has been proven scientifically now, Sol laughed. Fair point. But maybe weird is not bad. Kira said our chaos makes us creative, Tay said. She said it explains why humans adapt quickly and solve problems in unusual ways. That is because we are already thinking about 10 solutions at once, Sol said. We just picked the best one. They sat in comfortable silence for a while, though of course their minds were anything but silent. They were thinking about home, about the Academy, about the decision that was coming. They were thinking about their families, their futures, their place in this vast galaxy. They were thinking about dinner and studying and what the next day would bring. They were thinking about everything, all at once the way humans always did. And somewhere in the Academy, in a quiet sanctuary, the Vithara rested peacefully, far away from the overwhelming brightness of human minds. The decision came 2 weeks after Sol arrived. All students were called to the main assembly hall, something that had not happened since the beginning of the term. Tay and Sol sat together with Hay beside them. The hall was filled with hundreds of students from dozens of species, all wondering what the announcement would be. Director Kaz then, the head of the Academy, stood at the front. She was a Varani, a species known for their wisdom and patience. Her silver skin reflected the lights, and her 4 eyes looked over the gathered students. We have made a decision regarding the situation with our human students, she said, her voice calm and clear. But first I want to explain what we discovered so that everyone understands. She activated a display that showed the images Kira had created, the organized minds of most species, and the chaotic pattern of human thought. Humans think differently than most species in the consortium. Director Cass then explained. Their minds process multiple thoughts simultaneously, creating what we call parallel consciousness. This is not a defect or a danger. It is simply a different way of being. She let that sink in before continuing. The Vethera, which we have used for 40 years to monitor exams, cannot read human minds without experiencing distress. This is not because humans are hiding something. It is because human minds are too complex, too active, for the Vethera to process comfortably. Some students were nodding. Others looked surprised. The rumors had spread, but now everyone was hearing the official explanation. This has created a problem, the director continued. How do we ensure fairness in examinations if we cannot monitor humans the same way we monitor other students? After much discussion, we have reached a conclusion. Tay held his breath. We are retiring the Vithara from examination duty. The hall erupted in surprised voices. Students turning to each other, asking questions, expressing shock. Director Cass then raised a hand for silence. Please let me explain. For 40 years, we have relied on the Vethera to catch cheaters. It has served us well, but it has also made us lazy. We have stopped focusing on character education. We have stopped teaching our students about honor and integrity, because we had a creature that could simply detect dishonesty. She gestured to the students. But here is what we discovered when we looked more closely. In those 40 years, how many students has the Vithara actually caught cheating? She displayed a number. It was surprisingly small. Out of thousands of students, only 73 had been caught cheating. Less than 1%, the director said. The vast majority of students do not cheat, not because they fear the Vithara, but because they have integrity. They want to learn. They want to earn their achievements honestly. She looked directly at where Tay and Sol were sitting. The humans taught us something important. They showed us that we were using the Vithara as a crutch, a shortcut to avoid the harder work of teaching character and building trust. Director Cass then touched the display, showing a new image. Starting next term, the Academy will implement a new system. All students will sign an honor code, promising to complete their work honestly. Exams will have increased physical proctoring but no mental monitoring. We will focus on creating an environment where students want to be honest, rather than an environment where they are simply afraid of being caught. She smiled. And if this new system works well, which we believe it will, we will share it with other institutions across the consortium. The humans may have accidentally started a revolution in education. The Vethara, she explained, would be retired to a sanctuary planet where empathic creatures lived in peace. It had served for many years and deserved rest. After the assembly, students crowded around Tai and Sul. Some wanted to apologize for believing the rumors. Others wanted to ask more questions about human thinking. A few wanted to debate whether the new system would really work, but most just wanted to say they were glad the humans could stay. You have to understand, Ben said, his dark blue scales shimmering. When we heard the Vethara was afraid of you, some of us thought you must be hiding something terrible. We did not know it was just because your minds are loud. Very loud, Sul said with a grin, like a party that never ends. A party in your head? Ray asked. That does not sound relaxing. It is not, Tay admitted, but it is normal for us. Over the following weeks, the Academy began implementing the changes. The honor code was written, with input from students of all species. Security protocols were adjusted. Teachers received training on how to discuss integrity and character with their students. Tai and Sol took their delayed exams under the new system. They both passed with strong scores. Their success had nothing to do with the absence of the Vithara. It had everything to do with the fact that they had studied hard and wanted to learn. One day, Kira asked if Tai wanted to visit the Vithara sanctuary. It had been set up on a moon orbiting Kepler-7, a place with gentle weather and peaceful forests. Tay agreed, curious to see the creature that had changed his life. They took a shuttle to the moon. The sanctuary was beautiful, with open spaces where several retired empathic creatures lived. The Vithara was there, along with others of its kind that Tay had never seen before. Stay here, Kira said. You are still too close for comfort. Tay stood at a distance, maybe 30 meters away. He could see the Vithara clearly. It was resting under a tree, its crystalline eyes half closed, looking peaceful. Do you resent it? Kira asked. For marking you as different. For causing you trouble? Tay thought about this. He was always thinking about multiple things, but he focused on this question, pushing other thoughts to the background. No, he said finally. It told the truth. Human minds are chaotic. The Vithara was not wrong. It was just honest about what it experienced. That is a mature perspective, Kira said, her colors shifting to warm gold. Every species has gifts, Tay continued. Every species has challenges. Kasathi have their logic. Delrani have their emotional connection. Orlans have their fluidity. Humans have chaos. None of these are better or worse. They are just different. As he spoke, he was thinking about his family back home, wondering what his mother was cooking for dinner even though it was a different time on Earth. He was thinking about his next exam. He was thinking about a joke Sul had told him yesterday. He was thinking about the mathematical proof he was studying. He was remembering the taste of kimchi. He was wondering if the Vethara could sense him even from this distance. The Vethara looked in his direction. For a moment, their eyes met. Then the creature simply turned away, not in fear but in acknowledgement. It understood now. Some minds were not meant to be read. 3 months later, Earth sent a message. 48 more students had been approved for exchange programs. They would arrive in waves over the next year. The Academy was ready for them now. Director Cass then made another announcement. The new honor code system was working better than expected. Cheating had not increased. In fact, student satisfaction had improved. Other academies in the consortium were asking for details, wanting to implement similar systems. It seems the humans did start a revolution, Hai said to Tay as they studied in the library. "We did not mean to," Tay said. "We were just being ourselves." "Maybe that is the point," Hay said. "Sometimes the best changes happen when someone is different enough to make everyone question what is normal." Tay looked around the library at all the different species studying together. Kasati with their careful notes, Delrani with their emotional engagement with the material, Orlans with their fluid learning styles. And now, humans with their chaotic, creative, parallel processing minds. The galaxy was big enough for all of them. That night, Tay sent a message home to his parents. He told them about everything that had happened. About the Vithera, about the investigation, about the discovery of how human minds worked, about the changes at the academy. His mother wrote back quickly. "I always knew you were thinking about too many things at once. Now I know it is not just you. It is all of us. I am proud of you for staying true to yourself even when it was difficult." His father's message was shorter. "Bring more kimchi when you come home for break. Also, I am thinking about dinner, your mother's message, work tomorrow, and the news all at the same time right now." "Is that what they mean by chaos?" Tay laughed. Yes, that was exactly what they meant. In his room, surrounded by his notes and books, Tay returned to his studies. His mind was active with thoughts about trade protocols, about cultural differences, about his friends at the academy, about home, about the future, about everything and nothing all at once. It was chaotic. It was overwhelming. It was exhausting sometimes. It was human. And for the first time since arriving at the academy, Tay was completely comfortable with that. The galaxy had learned that diversity was not just about different bodies or different cultures. It was about different minds, different ways of thinking, different ways of being conscious, and maybe, just maybe, that was the most important lesson the academy could teach.